James Thrash. These guys are average under Howie. Since Howie's been in the building in 2000, these are the wide receivers that the Philadelphia Eagles have brought into the building, and I haven't even really written down the enormous bums that you've had on your team. Get the Dukes up, Big Sills. National Football Show, welcome aboard. Please hit the like button. Hope everyone's having a spectacular day. Yes, we have a special guest today. 500's going to join us. I'm going to start calling him maybe Mr. Philly. Look at all his fans, man. All rocking and rolling, ready to go. 4:30 this morning, or 4:30 at the bottom of the hour Eastern time. We will have Philly on with us, and we'll get his thoughts on the Eagles offseason. We'll get his thoughts on Jalen Sirianni. We'll get his thoughts also on the slap heard around the world. I love asking everybody that question, so I'm looking forward to this. So Philly will be with us. That'll be at the bottom of the hour, 4:30 Eastern time. Appreciate everybody stepping in with us as you always do. Bruce Arians, by the way, just an update. He will join us sometime later in the week after they get done with the NFL owner meetings. Bruce is in South Florida. I believe that's where the meetings are being held. And he will come aboard with us either Thursday or Friday of this week. So we'll talk to the head football coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Had a fun time with Barrett once again. Okay? Fun time with Barrett on the middle. But I want to throw this at you right now. Big Sills does his homework. You know this. I got a list here. And personally, guys, as we get ready for the NFL draft, I believe the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go into the draft and they're going to pull themselves a wide receiver out of that draft. They may trade up, they may do something, but they need, in my opinion, playmakers. And I don't believe that the Philadelphia Eagles have playmakers in that offensive huddle yet. Outside of the quarterback. The quarterback is the biggest playmaker, but you need some other pieces in that puzzle if you're going to move the chains and try to win yourself an NFC East. Okay? Do we all agree? The biggest need on this football team is wide receiver. Don't give me edge rusher. I know that. We know this. 31st in sacks. We know this. But this is a league of offense today. This is not the league that the Ravens defense or the Buccaneer defense. This is a league of offensive skill set guys. Have to get a wide out. Have to get somebody to move the sticks. Have to get somebody to help Jalen Hurts improve. Am I correct? Okay. I've written down since 2000 your top 10 wide receivers. They're not in any particular order, but you tell me the Philadelphia Eagles may be the worst franchise in the last 22 years when it comes to wide receivers on your team. You may have the worst collection of wide receivers of any football team I've covered in 22 years. Maybe Carolina. I tried to look around and I tried to go, okay, what other franchise has had such lesser names at the wide receiver position than the Eagles? How are you expected to develop a quarterback when you don't have playmakers? Your tight end is your biggest playmaking position. Okay? Go all the way back. Chad Brown, Zach Ertz. Right now you got Dallas Goedert. Not saying that that's not an important position, because it is an important position today. Okay? Let me throw these names off of you here. Here's your best wide receiver since 2000. Terrell Owens, 04 to 05, lasted only 2 years. Deshaun Jackson, 2008 to 2020. Probably your best tenured wide receiver you ever had. Chad Lewis, excuse me. Thank you. Sorry about that. 215, sorry about that. Hey, yeah, Merrill Lynch. It's all good. Don't worry. Jason Avant, 2006 to 2013. Jeremy Maclin, 09 to 2014. Reggie Brown, 2005 to 2009. Look at these guys. Not long careers in Philly. Alshon Jeffries, 17 to 2020. Look at these guys. All 3 to 4 years. Riley Cooper, 2010, 2015. There's a little bit lengthy of a career. Freddie Mitchell, 01 to 04. I mean, I'm looking at some of these guys. What's this guy's name? Jordan Matthews, 2014 to 2019. Listen to these names. These are just guys. Outside of Deshaun Jackson, T.O., and I'm going to give you Jeremy Maclin. The rest of these guys are mediocre players. Okay? James Thrash. These guys are average under Howie. Since Howie's been in the building in 2000, these are the wide receivers that the Philadelphia Eagles have brought into the building, and I haven't even really written down the enormous bums that you've had on your team. Guys, you can't pick wide receivers because you haven't had a wide receiver that's worth a shit on your franchise outside of 3 guys. Outside of 3 guys. Think about that. T.O., Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffries, Jeremy Maclin, and the rest over the last 22 years have been stiffs. Been stiffs. You barely helped out Donovan McNabb during his time. You barely put people around him. I'm not shocked that we're not seeing people around Jalen Hurts now. This is the MO of the Eagles the last 22 years. They're going to go into the draft and get a wide receiver. And look at Jalen Reagor. I mean, look at these names. How are you going to build a franchise around a quarterback? Wait a minute. Deshaun Watson would never have played in Philly because of this history. Guys, I'm sorry to say, unless you draft a wide receiver, no one's coming to Philly. And get this. This is not me saying it. This is me showing you it. I'm showing you it. There's a difference between a radio host and there's a difference between a guy like myself who has an opinion on something. This is me showing you what your history is, and it's not pleasant. How are you? And some would go, okay, Sills, give me the main point on this. Well, I'm expecting to get the best out of Jalen Hurts when you don't put the proper talent around him. And then you're afraid to go get Tyreek Hill. But Tyreek Hill doesn't want to play in Philly because of this history. The history, the quarterback. And get this, you had Andy Reid in the building? How did Andy Reid allow all these bums? Chris is hitting on it. Guys, The Philadelphia Eagles don't want to spend money when it comes to their offensive huddle. They never have. They never will. And when they do, they get burned. Alshon Jeffries, we talked about that deal yesterday. Carson Wentz. 2 deals burned him. Big money, signing bonuses, right? Alshon Jeffries was a turd in Philadelphia. A turd. T.O. was great. Just a maniac. But you could tie that into not being something that T.O. should have ended his career in Philly. I would have sat both McNabb and T.O.'s ass down and said, hey, you want to win or do you want to have an argument like you two guys are married? Really? You can't get over this for the betterment of the team? It's on both of your dumb asses. Somebody needed to have a come-to-Jesus conversation with those 2 idiots because they ended up hurting what could have been a team that could have won a Super Bowl with McNabb. How about that Murray deal? Anytime that they've gone out in free agency and done anything, they have shit the bed. Man, no, I got Jason Avant. 2006 to 13. These guys are dudes. These guys are dudes. How in the world are you telling me that this organization knows what they're doing when it comes to building a Super Bowl team? My friends, I'm going to say something, and I hope you either kill me on what I'm going to say or you agree, but just give me a response on this. That Super Bowl that they won in 17, no way was that thing planned. No way did they think they had a Super Bowl football team. There is no way. No way. Even the dudes on that team in the offensive skill set were not spectacular. Things fell into line. The moon and the sun lined up right. Man, guys. And the truth of it is, it didn't last very long. Lightning in a bottle, Paul. That's right. Lightning in a bottle. But see, what it does now is it gives Howie Roseman the autonomy to go like this. Yo, look at what I did. Okay? Xander goes Sills. I will disagree. Howie performed his best year was in 17. It helped. We had an MVP quarterback. He went all in. Deep team. You're trying to tell me you think that 17 football team was built for a long haul and to be a football team that was going to stay on top for 5 years? Or do you think that team was built for one season? If they're so deep, what happened after 17? And again, I will agree with this. And I've said this the last 2 days. Jeffries catches that pass in New Orleans in the playoffs. They're in their second straight NFC championship game, and potentially they win the Super Bowl, and we're talking about a different conversation. So I will give that to Xander, probably a 2-year run that football team had. But then the quarterbacks and the whole decision at the quarterback started to derail the entire locker room. Internally, it started to implode. Then upstairs and downstairs between the coach and the head coach or the general manager, there was a rift there. Then there was the rift at the quarterback. Then there was division in the locker room. Then people were leaving. Then you couldn't keep the thing together in 3 years. It started its tailspin. They could not keep that team on its rails, and that's the GM's ass. The general manager is responsible for looking at the success of the football team on a year-to-year basis. The head coach is responsible for Sundays. Howie got off his reservation and started meddling on the Sunday reservation. It's not his reservation. His reservation is what he has done now. Under the cap, draft choices, playoff team, coach looks like he could be right. By the way, Nick Sirianni, I'll let you know in 3 years. Counting last year. So next 2 years, I'll let you know if Sirianni's an NFL head coach or not. 1 year doesn't make an NFL head coach, just like 1 year doesn't make an NFL football player. We'll find out in 2 more years if Nick's the guy. Ask Matt Nagy. Was the NFL coach of the year? Fired. Okay? We'll see. Adam Gase, that guy got Peyton Manning's blessing. That's why he got 2 jobs, Jets in Miami. Turned out to shit the bed also. I'll let you know if he's going to be a guy. Oh, what? You think only players are under a 3-year evaluation for me? No, coaches are as well. Okay? We'll see. Anthony says it became a team of egos between quarterback, head coach, and general manager. They all wanted the praise, but Roseman washed out all of the blame and weaseled out of the blame. Right. I can't see shit. Seth says, I've been saying it for years, Sills. Howie's the problem. We chat through the pain. Sills, does these numbers every day not seeing a 500 spike at all? Not sure what you're talking about. All I know is, okay? All I know is that this football team has no offensive skill set people. Okay? He has no skill set people. And somebody said to me, they go like this. Okay? Somebody said this to me today. They go, Sills, you don't think Devontae Smith is a number 1 wide receiver? No, I don't yet. 900 and some odd yards is not a number 1 wide receiver. Maybe in Philly it is. But Philly doesn't have number 1 wide receivers in their organizational history over the last 20 years outside of T.O. and a few other dudes. You don't have number 1s. Your history says it, not Dan. So to say that Devontae is a number 1, probably in Philly. Probably in Philly. Birdman says T.O. was a real number 1. Absolutely. Okay? The Lobster Ravioli Show. History shows this. Guys, let me know. Is the stream okay? Hopefully everything's all right here. Howie needs to get slapped by Will Smith. Hey, life? No. Okay? Big mistake, Howie letting 3 years in a new contract. Good point, but Smith is a number 1, especially in Philly. Any other team, he gets 120. Chris, you don't know that. We're assuming that. Birdman, good. I'm glad to hear that. Stream's okay? Good. Yes, I know. I always hey, listen. All I'm telling you is, guys, your history of wide receivers in the last 22 years has been pathetic. It's been pathetic at best. How, you know what? It's funny. I'm learning something here. Okay? I keep saying this to you guys all the time. Will Jalen Hurts get better? I say it even with Barrett. How can he get better? Can you imagine how much better McNabb would be if you had a Jalen Waddle and you had a Tyreek Hill? What would Donovan McNabb have done with wide receivers like that? What do you think McNabb would have done with wideouts like that? Can you imagine if you put what Miami did in Donovan's huddle with all the bitching and crying? McNabb would have won a couple Super Bowls. I'm convinced of that. If that dumbass in New York, Eli Manning, can win a couple, Donovan could have. Guys, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to want to hear. I'm going to say it gently. You guys don't want to spend money. And when you do, it's a train wreck. That's your history. And you've got to rely on the draft to bring good players in because you can't bring them in free agency. Darius Slays, I'll name you 50 guys he effed up on. Poor deals. That Maxwell deal, 6 years, $63 million. He played one season and he stunk. That's one example. Hey, look at what Big Picken's saying. We know this, Sills. Okay, you're right. Fair enough. Watch this. I'm going to turn it on me. You're right. You know this already. You're right. You're right. You're right. Hey, I'm sorry if I'm repeating something because I could hear people going like this. Sills, what have we been telling you? It's great that you have a mock draft. Dan, what you're saying will have zero bearing on reality come April. I have to readjust my thinking around here. This is why Philly fans boo. Paul, dude, half the people here don't know this, Sills, says Seth. This is such a... Jerry overspends and overvalues. Howie, he doesn't spend and he overvalues bums. How do you bring in a guy that's 94th ranked and Pro Football Focus lower than the stiff you drafted? Is that to make that stiff look better? Because you bring in Zach Pascal? Because everyone in Philly goes like this. Damn. Jalen Reagor's better than that guy. I'm just building a Super Bowl champion. How? Big Sills, you got Howie pegged. Lower than Reagor. Philly fans boo because we're a bunch of lovable douchebags. Ah, man, you guys are great football fans. You guys are great football fans. You deserve better. Okay? Man. Doesn't make sense. Because this it's frustrating. I've just had a frustrating moment here with you guys. Can't holler at it because there's nothing you can do about it. Philadelphia Eagles are cheap. I never thought that I would see another franchise like the Chargers, but the Chargers are actually starting to spend money because here, let me think like a football guy. Maybe I'm throwing this out. Maybe the reason they're not spending money is because they don't believe in Jalen. Okay. Maybe that's it. Is it could that guys, this is whoever likes Jalen, whoever dislikes Jalen. Help me here. Is this why they're not spending money? Is because they don't like Jalen? I excuse this situation because I don't think Howie said on Hurts. 215, I think we're echoing one another. Shane says bingo. Herbert's a prodigy. You're going to spend money. And Ziggy brings a great point up. Another 9-8 season. Dude, a 9-8 season. You know what Xander told me? I'm going to pull you guys behind the curtain a little bit. You know what he said last year to me? And this is not an indictment on you guys, okay? This is not an indictment. This is just how the fan base, he said, works. I'm going to take you behind what Xander said to me because Xander was born and raised a Philadelphia Eagle fan. Told me the other day, favorite franchise, favorite sports team. By far. That's why he's more passionate about any other team in that city. The rest of them kind of are in a batch. You know, whoever's playing, I'm going to support Sixers right now, getting ready to play in Eastern Conference playoffs. Everybody got it. They were 2-5. He goes like this, Sills, I know this fan base, man. This was last year. He goes, Sills, I know this fan base. Just telling you, man. They're going to teeter. Then all of a sudden they went 3-6, kept boat a little bit going. People kind of said, all right. Then all of a sudden they started winning some games. Then they started floating near 500. Everybody started rallying around the team again. And all of a sudden they creeped their head above 500. Everyone's like, hey, what do you got going? And all of a sudden momentum started kicking in again. He said, that's how the city is. Not a problem. I'm not going to support something that's losing too. I'm going to keep it and watch it from afar, but I'm not buying season tickets and bullshit like that. But Xander was giving me your behavior and how you see this team. Because you know what that means to me when I hear that you have a pattern of that? That means you don't trust the organization to dig yourself out of a hole. You were surprised, weren't you? You were surprised a year ago that the Eagles dug themselves out of that hole because maybe in the years previous, they wouldn't have been able to dig themselves out of a hole because you had Wentz crying in the locker room. You had Howie and Doug bitching at one another. And you had the owner in his Tuesday notorious meetings go, why did we only win that game by 1 point? Look at what all those dynamics that you had going at one time. And then you're trying to tell me you're going to build a football team. And I'm going to say this, once again, the Carson Wentz of general managers has done exactly what I said on the outside. It looks wonderful. Much more upset at poor early drafts than spending. Yeah, and thank you, BF. But it all goes hand in hand. It all goes hand in hand. Here, watch this. Look at what the Rams did. They had some key draft choices put on their team as benchmark players. Then they go in free agency, get Von Miller. They recharge him. Okay? They recharge him. You get Odell Beckham. You recharge him. Philly signs a guy like that. The guy's a turd. Okay, listen. We're going to have my boy Philly on. I'm going to get his take on all this stuff too. Okay? We're going to take a brief timeout. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Keep it right here on the National Football.